wait for me to pull up the screen. Oh. We're live.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to day 22 of SunnahCamp's Ramadan training by kids for kids. And today, inshallah, we will have Mia's sisters presenting first. So without further ado.
Assalamu alaikum, Mia here.
Welcome to day 22 of learning and memorizing the beautiful 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Let's get started. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah rahman rahim. Open tonight in ma.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم إني أسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى.
The four beautiful names we are learning today are Al-Wajid, Al-Majid, Al-Wahhad, and Al-Wahid.
أحد.
Al-Wajid means the provider. This name does not appear in the Quran as such.
Al-Wajid, the perceiver. This name comes from the verb wajada, to find or uncover, or it could also mean to meet or experience and feel. Al-Wajid, the perceiver, he is the founder of everything in existence and has the power over all that exists, because after all, he is the one who created it, who brought it into being. The root of Al-Wajid is Jidda, abundance and independence. Al-Wajid is the most knowing. And did he not find you lost and guide you? And there he finds Allah, so he pays him back his reckoning in full. The phrase he finds Allah means he finds out that Allah, Al-Wajid, has everything. He lacks nothing. He is never incapable of doing whatever he pleases. Al-Wajid is the one from whose knowledge nothing at all escapes. He does not overlook anything at all. He is the opposite of the one who has lost everything. Al-Wajid lacks neither necessary things nor any of the requirements related to divinity and its perfection. He is none but Allah, the most exalted one. In such sense, he and he alone is the absolute Al-Wajid. Anyone besides him who may have some of the attributes of perfection while still lacking a few things is not called Wajid at all. Al-Wajid has with him everything he wants and desires. He can effect his decree. He knows everything and he determines everything. He is capable of doing everything. Nothing is beyond his reach or might. His status is sublime. He is the most honored. His might is the most perfect. He gives abundantly and generously. The root of this attribute has many other meanings, such as finding out something through the power of the senses, the reaching point of a goal, the existence of something, the mental realization. The phrase he finds Allah means he finds out Allah, Al-Wajid, has everything. He lacks nothing. Al-Wajid is the one whose knowledge nothing escapes at all. He does not overlook anything at all. He is the opposite of the one who has lost everything.
Aisha?
Al-Wajid means the one. This name appears 6 times in 6 different chapters.
Aisha, we're on Al-Majid.
Oh gosh.
That's okay. Do you want to tell us what Al-Majid means? Number 6.
Al-Majid means the magnificent. Although the Kurdish, this name also doesn't appear in the Quran.
Good. This name, Al-Majid, comes from the verb majd, which means glory and magnificence. And majd basically means to also excel in glory. The name Al-Majid, which we learned earlier, previously in a different lesson, also comes from the same root. And they are from the same roots, but they do have different meanings, or they're used in different contexts, and we'll get into that in a bit, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of all magnificence. He is the most excellent and glorious. All the beautiful attributes and actions belong to Al-Majid. His qualities are most desirable, loved, and longed for. He is high in position for excellence. Al-Majid, we see it translates to the magnificent. But actually, it's one of those names that's really generic. So this name shines upon other attributes as well. So Al-Majid means the magnificent, but you could also say Al-Majid means the noble, or the most generous, or the one whose deeds and actions are most glorious and honorable and noble and bountiful, subhanAllah. And the last meaning, the one where it talks about how glorious Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's deeds are, that meaning truly signifies the meaning of this name, basically. It encompasses all the attributes of perfection and magnificence for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this name, as I mentioned before, is quite similar to Al-Majid, which also means the most glorious. But Al-Majid indicates a greater extensiveness. So Al-Majid is the one noble in his essence, whose essential nature is noble, or to give bountifully. Al-Majid honors specific deeds performed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's similar to Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman shines upon all creation, whereas Ar-Rahim is a specific form of mercy for specific people. And this is similar to how Al-Majid is more generic with his magnificence and glory. And Al-Majid is the one whose particular deeds are honored and bountiful. So Al-Majid indicates the glory and the perfection and honors the specific deeds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a specific creation, or even the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are perfection. And the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by this we mean the Quran. He is the one who continuously gives because his wealth is endless. It is said that whoever recites the name Al-Majd, meaning the noble one, his heart will be enlightened, subhanAllah. And Al-Majid indicates the one whose essential nature is glorious, who by nature is noble and honorable, who gives bountifully to his creation. Al-Majid is the one who is praised for the specific deeds and attributes that show his glory, that show his nobility and honor, and whose deeds are so glorious that they exceed generosity. Subhanallah, he is Al-Majid, the most magnificent. He is the one whose deeds and whose actions all exceed generosity. Acknowledge that and thank him, alhamdulillah, and look at the blessings around you. It was because of who he is, because Allah is Al-Majid, and it is by his essential nature to give those luxuries that you have now, and even the opportunities that you've been given, subhanAllah, all around you, especially this Ramadan, the opportunity that you've been given to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his names, to implement these names into your life, and to get to know him on a different level, on a higher level. SubhanAllah, he is the one who has honored us and who has given us that privilege.
Al-Rashid means the one. This name appears 6 times in 6 different chapters.
Al-Wahid, the one. Now, this name's also pretty generic. Al-Wahid, meaning the one. This name is where all the different attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meet. You see how in the beginning of each name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's Al-Wahid, like Al-Wahid, Al-Majid, and pretty much all the names we've done. When we see that in the beginning of the name, it shows that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has that attribute, and to the greatest extent. This name signifies just that. He is the one and the only one with these beautiful attributes and qualities which we've been learning for the month of Ramadan. Wahid comes from the root wawhada, which points to four main meanings. The first meaning is to be one, to be made one, and to be called one. The second meaning is to connect, join, and unite. The third is to be unique and singular. And the fourth is to be one apart from others. Linguistically, wahid means one who is one or alone, apart from others. Tawheed also comes from this root, and it means unification or asserting oneness. Tawheed means to believe that Allah is one without a partner in His dominion, and His actions one without similitude, and His essence and attributes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose His name Al-Wahid to be paired with His name Al-Qahhar on each occasion in the Quran. This beautiful name illustrates that He has supreme authority and ultimate power to do anything, subhanAllah. Al-Qahhar can subdue anyone to compel him or her to His will, and He does so with perfect knowledge and justice, and this great ability belongs to Him and Him only. All that is in the heavens and the earth submits, willingly or unwillingly, to Al-Wahid alone. Whatever He wills comes to be. Whatever He does not ever will, not even an atom moves without His knowledge. Nothing takes place without His will. No leaf falls down without His knowledge. Nothing escapes His knowledge. Not even as much as the weight of an atom in the heavens or the earth, nor smaller than that, nor bigger. His knowledge encompasses everything. His might overwhelms everything. His will is affected regarding everything. His wisdom dominates everything. Tawheed then means that whatever comes to your mind of how He may be, or anything which you think is appropriate for Him, He is contrary to it and above it. Glory to Him. The subject of Tawheed is beyond anyone's description, for if you discuss the Almighty, there are too many views about Him to discuss, and there are too many ways to discuss Him through His statements. Reason recognize Him, yet the tongue can never describe Him. Subhanallah.
Aisha.
Al-Ahad means the only one or the unique. This name appears once in Surah Al-Kahf.
In Surah class. Yeah. So this name is from the same root as Wahid, and we learned that Al-Wahid means the one. Now similarly, Al-Ahad means the unique or the only one. And like, what is the difference though between Wahid and Ahad? Because Al-Wahid just meant the one, and Al-Ahad means the only one. Wahid means the first or the one who could be out of many. But Al-Ahad means that He is unique. He is the only one. So Al-Wahid basically signifies that there could be others, and Al-Ahad signifies that there was no one else to begin with. There was no others because He is the only one. So Al-Ahad means that there is nothing like Him. He is the only one in the category to begin with. No competition or anything. It is only Him. A famous companion, Bilal ibn Rabah, for those of you who don't know, he was a companion of the Prophet ﷺ. And the thing was, he was a black man, and the Quraysh took advantage of that. They would torture him, and they would force him to worship their man-made idols. But he would keep saying this famous phrase, Ahadun Ahad, Ahadun Ahad, which means Allah is Al-Ahad. He is the only one. There is nothing like him. And even the Muslims on the Battle of Uhud, they chanted this as well. Ahadun ahad, ahadun ahad. That he is unique. No one, no creation, nothing is like him. He is absolutely unique and not even remotely similar or comparable to anything else. He's the one, and he is Al-Ahad. He is Ahad, meaning the only one in his essence, Ahad in his attributes, in his decisions, his doings, everything. He is the only one, and nothing can compare to that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Ahad, and this serves as a reminder for us as well that our lives on this earth are only temporary. So we should do what we have been brought to do, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Him alone. After all, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. He is the only one, only God. When we know and are fully aware of this, we become more sincere. It basically acts like a precious gem to us, or a jewel. It's unique, one of a kind, and nothing is like it. Basically, when you find a gem, it's precious to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Ahad. He is precious. He is one of a kind, and He is the only one. He is unique in everything. Our intentions as well should only be for Him. Everything we should do should be to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And Allah even says in the Quran, I am the one who is most free from needing partners. So whoever does anything for the sake of someone else besides me, then I will discard him and his shirk. So imagine you just come on the day of judgment with tons of good deeds, but one by one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes them away. And why is that? Because they were not for Him to begin with. They were to please someone else. So this teaches us that our actions and our intentions, every single thing we do in this dunya should be to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when you don't feel like doing something, like a chore, for example, just remember that that action, that small deed is one step towards, pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even more. And that will also be counted as well. Remember, he has success in his wealth, in his rizq, in his sustenance, in everything. So why go through the trouble to please people, to give them so much attention when Allah is Al-Ahad? He is the only one, and He is unique in everything, in every sense, in all of His attributes. Once there was a man making dua with this name, and the Prophet ﷺ said that this man had just asked Allah by His greatest name. Now, what does this mean for us? At times, some of our duas may be too far out of reach, or they may be impossible. But as we learned in our dua workshop, don't think about what you are asking. Think about who you are asking. You are asking Al-Ahad. And this is a beautiful name to call upon for even those duas that seem so impossible, so far out of reach to you. Allah is Al-Ahad. He is the only one who can grant you what you ask for, no matter how big it may be.
What did you learn today? Come on the mic and tell us. We love to hear your beautiful voice.
I would do Al-Ahad because it's like unique and the only one. And no one or nothing can compare to Allah in that name.
Yes, a very good point.
I have one.
Go ahead.
I like Al-Ahad too. I like Al-Ahad, the unique or only one.
That's good. Samiha, good job. Anyone else want to say a name they liked? We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll move on. But in the meantime, if someone wants to mention something, they can just write it in the chat. Assalamu alaikum.
Me out.
Jazakallah khair, Mia sisters, for that amazing explanation of those 4 names. And I think my favorite would be Wahid and Al Ahad. Because why, exactly how you said, why should we please people when we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He is the best and the first, the only, and the most unique, of course. And just as we learned, it's not what we can ask for, it's who we're asking from. He's Al Wahid and Al Ahad. So he is the best and can grant us anything. So Jazakallah khair again, Mia sisters, for that amazing explanation. And now I will go and teach class. Let me just share the screen. Okay. So we left off a couple days ago on Ayah 11, just about to finish it. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ, and do not call each other by offensive nicknames. So nabaz comes from the root words nun, ba, zal, to fix a title that shows bad traits. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, but it's basically fixing a title. And laqab comes from the root word lam, qaf, ba, and it means to give another name to a person, like a second name. And you can either honor somebody like a title, like maybe professor, and you can insult, annoy, or degrade somebody with that name. Laqab is different from ism, which means name, because laqab is a description. It's like a second name. Ism is a name somebody is recognized for, like abida. It means one who worships Allah, but it does not mean that the person actually worships all the time. So laqab is a second name. And a person pretend does something, and now they come back and they ask forgiveness, but now you give a laqab, you give a name after they have repented, just so he will be embarrassed. And sometimes it happens that years ago this person did something wrong and he said sorry, and now you see them again and brings up that past fault. Nobody is perfect. If they try their best and they still don't make it, why do we have to call them names? Sometimes we call them names based on their race or physical features. There are so many horrible names out there. And all these name callings, it leads to hatred and disunity, and it ruins relationships. So a believer is very careful, just as we are careful when we are respectful to people. We are careful about our vocabulary, and that it should be very nice and clean, and it should show in the way that we talk about somebody, the way that we talk to them, or the way we describe them. We should be respectful and careful. And I'm sure this will be easy for us because we already watch our vocabulary, I'm sure. And now we just have to check that it's still applying for everybody, even if it's our siblings, even if it's our cousins, even if it's people we don't like. We must be careful about our words because words can hurt. So evil names are wickedness after faith. So what if something is different or the same? What if somebody's scarf is too big or their beard is too short? Why are your pants rolled up? Did you wear the same clothes to that wedding? Instead of looking at all these negative things, look at the good part. There's always something good. Sometimes people can go to Hajj and they come back and they only talk about how the other people were, how they were pushing and shoving, but they don't talk about the iman that they felt and how everybody was doing tawaf as a whole. So depending on what is in the heart, that is how we will see things. That is how our vision will be. So if we have a dirty heart, we will see the world through dirty glasses. And just as we learned in Ayah 3, Islam is not just rituals. It is in the heart and the mind and the body, all in submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are in control of our actions. But if we do make a mistake, the door of tawbah is always open. So repent. Whoever does not repent, then those are the ones who are unjust. So what I want you to do today is 2 things. Optimism first. Find the good in things and anything. It doesn't matter if it's something horrible, but find something good in it. And also check your heart. Does it have tawbah in it? Or does it have a tiny bit of filth in it? Do I keep bad thoughts in there? So let's clean up that today, inshallah. I think I will end it off today, and inshallah tomorrow we will do complete ayah 12. Okay, assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair. And make sure for all of our people on YouTube to make sure you comment down below what stood out to you today during today's classes, and make sure you check out the links in the description where you can follow Sunnah Camp on all of our social medias, where you can follow, where we are pumping out some awesome content. Inshallah, we will see you all tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.